Hello everyone, this is G and I'm back with another video. Oh my days. I just saw Tristan Nerdet's Nerdet's Newsstand video on this, and I don't want to belabor the point too much because I don't think my poor heart can take this. Apparently there's a new YA novel coming out. DC's been on this kick for a while. Right. And they just released I Am Not Starfire, and which has not been well received. Generally speaking, these haven't been too well received. But now they're doing another one with Mr. Miracle. And here's the thing. Apparently there's an alternate version of Mr. Miracle who's a black guy. I didn't know that. But this version of it is going to be scot-free, right? So the scot-free Mr. Miracle has now been race lifted, right? So he's gone from looking like this. All right, so here's an image of Scott Free. I actually read the Tom King run a few years, or 5 issues of the run, I should say. It was like 9 or 12 issues. I read 5 of them before I dipped out because Tom King's writing tends to leave me very depressed and confused, and I can't do that. I like a dark story, but I cannot. My heart cannot handle a hopeless one. But anyway, so Scott Free is going to go from looking like this to looking like this, to basically looking like Miles Morales. And as I go through the article and you specifically see the art, which is not good, you'll see they definitely borrowed a lot from visually from characters like Miles Morales and Static Shock. So again, like they've done with Batgirl and Iris West and many characters over the past several years, they're just race lifting for the sake of race lifting now. There's nothing really I can say about that I haven't already said, right? So again, it's just creatively lazy. They could do a story about Jon Stewart. They could do a story about Steel. They could do a story about Vixen. They could do a story about Maxine from Batman Beyond. But they always choose a classically white hero to just literally just paint, just put brown paint over, right? And make them black. But you'll never see it go in the other direction because that would be racist. But anyway, here's what Screen Rant says. Screen Rant has had the first look at a brand new young adult novel from DC Comics starring the popular Jack Kirby creation Mr. Miracle. In Mr. Miracle, The Great Escape by Varian Johnson, and Tristan of Nerdet's Newsstand did a video about this, and I'm going to link it, and she shows the work that Varian Johnson has done. It's very Afrocentric, right? Let's put it that way. It says here by Varian Johnson and Daniel Isles. Uh, a new take on the character will desperately try to break free from Apocalypse and the Goodness Academy, but as he develops a plan to escape, he will fall in love with one of the people making sure he can't free. I'm assuming he can't be free, is what is meant. Big Barda, which is generally true, right? Yeah, they would eventually fall in love. He would get to Earth, and she would eventually follow him to Earth, and they would get married on Earth. And sort of enduring theme with them is their married life and how they really just want a normal life on Earth, but it just never happens. But anyway, it says here, and this is a generally good summary of who they are in the comics proper. It says here, Mr. Miracle and Big Barda were created by Kirby in the 1970s as part of his epic Fourth World saga. Scott Free was traded in a peace deal with Darkseid, where he and Highfather exchanged sons in an attempt to broker peace between the warring New Genesis, or Heaven, and Apocalypse, Hell. Instead of being raised on the paradise of New Genesis, Scott grew up in the hellish Apocalypse. In its fiery pits, he met Big Barda, one of Granny Goodness' female furies, a group of warriors who worked on behalf of Darkseid. Those group of warriors are his personal guard. Let's get that right. Being the greatest escape artist in the comics, Scott escaped Apocalypse and eventually married Barda on Earth. The two heroes are among the most beloved in comics. This is true. Generally good summary of their history, more or less. Right? So it says here, Mr. Miracle, The Great Escape by Varian Johnson and Daniel Iles tells the story. Uh, huh? Didn't I? Okay, I guess they're repeating themselves. It tells the story of Scott Free being trapped on Apocalypse as a student of Goodness Academy. The future Mr. Miracle struggles with his own identity. Once you look at who the writers are and the work that they've done, you'll realize that the identity he's dealing with is painted all over his face. And it's not going to be the identity of him being literally the son of heaven made to live in hell to prevent a war. It's not going to be that identity. It's going to be a much more of a winning complexion type situation. But anyway, right? And the PTSD he suffered growing up in a literal hellscape on Apocalypse. Free will come up with a plan to escape Apocalypse, but will run into Big Barda, a warrior he loves whose job it is to keep from escaping. Okay. And this is the cover, where obviously there's a strong Miles Morales influence. And then it says, to check out the preview pages of the young adult novel, right? As well as meeting Barda, Lashina, and more of the female Furies. I warn you now, the art here is not pleasing. So we see this. It's very bland, very flat. And here's the thing, I'm not against simple art, but simple art should still be visually engaging. So this is very dull. But you can see here in these where there's a definite Miles Morales influence here, especially in the whole street gear thing that he's wearing. That's a woman. That's how they decided to draw a woman. Just wait. Just wait. And again, it's just incredibly flat and dull. And then you see him flying through the air or something. Very Static Shock like. And of course, it's all brown people. There's no way in the world white people could see this and be inspired, right? It's just all the brown people. But anyway, we have the female Furies. Yes, yes, this is supposed to be the female Furies. That's Lashina, I think. That's supposed to be the female Furies. Just wait till you see Barda. Darkseid's personal guard. And this is how you decide to visually represent them. This is Barda. This is Big Barda. She's not even in armor. This is not armor. From this perspective, if you're looking up at her, her chest would look totally different. It would be much more lifted. Oh my god. One of the premier female warriors in the DC universe. This woman has tangled with Wonder Woman, and you draw her like this. She's also one of the few characters whose standard design is actually a suit of armor. Now, of course, she's had alternate looks. There's like a red bikini look she's had. But if you look throughout most of her comics history, her standard costume is this literal blue suit of armor. And you draw her like this. Who the hell thought this was? Why is she wearing knee pads? Why is she wearing knee pads? Is that supposed to be like a boomstick or a boom tube or something in her hand? I know she usually uses some sort of like bludgeon type weapon, but still. Who the hell thought? Let me just show y'all what she just to compare what she typically looks like in the comics versus this. Barda in the comics, as you can see, full ass suit of armor, full suit of armor, cape and everything, looks crazy cool. Barda in the YA graphic novel, this isn't even like a simplified design or version of her comics look. She looks nothing alike. I said, how? How? Literally, how do you do this? Why do you do this? Oh my days. Oh my days. Some more. The pain, stop the pain, stop the pain, stop the pain. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts so much. I have to close my eyes because looking at it literally is hurting my eyes. Oh dear God. Oh dear God. Back to the article because I can't keep looking at this. Look at this. This is awful. Oh, thank God it's over. This is. I can't do this. Here's the official description of Mr. Miracle: The Great Escape from DC Comics. Right. So this is the official. This is the official description. Desperate to leave Apocalypse, an oppressive world, because hell is just oppressive, right? An oppressive world ruled by Darkseid. Scott's great escape will take nothing short of a miracle. Okay, nice wordplay. As no one has ever left the planet of their own free will. A student at the Goodness Academy, you know, where Granny Goodness trains warriors and tortures them. Scott brews up a foolproof plan to escape to planet Earth. Does he really want to come here with all of our issues? I mean, I'm just wondering. I mean, does he really want to come to America as a black man? Because apparently, according to a lot of people in today's world, you know, a person like me and a person who looks like Scott would be terribly oppressed. But anyway, all while struggling to understand his identity. His racial identity. Not his identity as the son of God. Right? PTSD from growing up in the fire pits of Apocalypse and somehow falling in love with his number one enemy, Big Barda, who has made keeping Scott on Apocalypse her number one priority. Are y'all expecting us to forget that Barda eventually leaves Apocalypse of her own free will, follows Scott to Earth to marry him because she's in love with him? Because that indeed does happen. Crafted by Coretta Scott King honor-winning author Varian Johnson, the Parker influence, an Afrofuturist. That's all you need to know. Artist Daniel Isles, this coming of age tale follows Scott as he escapes from oppressive forces. And apparently, according to some people in the world, it's just jumping out of the frying pan into the fire because apparently, you know, because we all know they eventually settle in the US, right? So he's going to be leaving the oppressive world of literal hell to the oppressive world of the incredibly liberal United States of America. Oh my. Right, it says not only does Scott Free's plan scroll and it cuts off. It just cuts off. Anyway, it says Mr. Miracle, The Great Escape is Varian Johnson and Daniel Isles' first project at DC. May they be their last. Both acclaimed creators join an impressive list of writers to be published amongst DC's young adult offerings as they join the likes of Mariko Tamaki, Yoshitani, the two minds behind I Am Not Starfire. Yoshitani did the art for that. Just keep that in mind. Cody Keplinger, Sarah Kippen, L.L. McKinney, Robin Smith, Jean Luen Yang, Lauren Miracle, and more. With their incredible adult line, that's let's just say that is not a popular opinion. DC Comics has gotten some mega talented creators of all backgrounds to do completely new takes on popular characters for a modern audience that deal with real issues. Because of course, comic books, with their incredibly social stories, have never touched upon real world issues. I mean, it's not like comics in the 70s touched upon feminism, but they did. It's not like comics in the 80s touched upon, crime and drugs and all that, except they did. But let's continue. Mr. Miracle: The Great Escape looks to continue the trend. The book is scheduled for a January 22nd, 2022 release. I'm hoping this ends up like the New Warriors and never comes out. This this is just an insult for comic fans. This is an insult even for YA fans. I'm personally not in agreement with comics, superhero comics being used to tell YA stories. I think that the genres of YA and comics are just too different, just too separate, right? But even if you're going to have a young adult line, shouldn't you still be offering something of value to the people who are interested in young adult stories? Because your mainstream comic audience is not going to accept this. So you have a much smaller audience of people who are fans of YA. If you're going to be doing this, shouldn't you give them something worthwhile? Give them a decent story, decent art, right? Even if it is very drastic from what the mainstream comics are, shouldn't you still be interested in giving them a good product instead of literally ugly? I mean, again, look at this art. This is Big Barda. This is the woman Scott eventually falls in love with and marries. This is supposed to be the main woman in the story, and you draw her like this. Like I would fire everybody involved in this. They're lucky I am not the editor in chief, right? Because if I were, everybody getting fired. Everybody would be out of a job. Oh my god. But anyway, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day, and night wherever you are.